to be live like Channel 5. What's up, Jake? Thanks for joining, man.
Yeah, thanks, April, for having me. I appreciate it.
Sorry I didn't get you to move over on break. It went by a little too fast for me.
All good. I don't mind. I already barely have any room in this room anyway.
Are those some drum cases in the background that I'm seeing?
Yeah, I've three three kits in cases behind me, and then I have a
Wow.
kit basically for tracking and a bunch of cymbals. Eh, I've got more than I really need, but obviously, as drummers, we like our toys. So
Yeah, I have like a rack of snares. I think we all have like a rack of snares. Snares are one of the
I've
fun
got that
things to
as well.
collect. Yeah, yeah.
I've got that, and then I've got like 4 cases of 4 hard shell just 4 cases of snare drums underneath that are filled, and then I recently, am grateful enough to have joined, the Humensenberg family. So he gave me a case, and he just actually tomorrow I'm getting it, my, uh, artist, I guess you can call it, my artist case with my badge and everything on that too. So I'll have
Oh,
that
that's
tomorrow,
sweet.
and then yeah, so, fortunate about that, and, that's just another case to add to all these other empty cases I currently have sitting
A
in a
collection, right?
closet with bags of cymbals and all that stuff. So,
Well, we love the guys at Humensenberg. They sponsor Drumathon every year, so we love those guys. Mike's amazing, so that's very,
oh,
very
they're
cool.
wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been watching on your Facebook and things, and you're showing a little behind the scenes stuff going on. But I want to start from kind of earlier on in your career and bring people up to the point of getting into performing with Luke Combs. So, how did you first get into drumming?
Oh my goodness. So let's see. So my dad has been playing guitar since he was 14 and singing. And I kind of grew up on everything that he listened to. So like the Beatles, Stones, Springsteen, all the classic stuff. And I feel like it's slightly embarrassing to say, but my mom has a photo of me when I was still a baby with a diaper on and a box head around my neck with drumsticks in my hands. So that was the first, you can say, somewhat time I got into drumming, but I've always had music around me. And then I sat at my first drum set when I was 3 years old. An older cousin of mine was getting married, and I guess I'd asked the band leader as best as I could if I can play the drums when they had a break. And my feet couldn't even touch the pedals, but I played them, and my parents were like, "He's gonna be a drummer." And then they got me a drum set at 6 years old, and I started taking lessons ever since then. I've been
Wow.
very fortunate to, not trying to jump the gun, but study with some of, incredible, incredible drummers. And,
Yeah.
I'm sure a few names that, you may know. I was very, very fortunate to study with Dom Famularo since I was 15.
Oh, amazing,
So,
amazing.
hmm
Amazing in more ways than one, too. Just an
oh,
amazing
yes. Not
human.
just, not
Yeah,
just drumming, but just personality and
yeah,
loving and caring and everything like that.
yeah,
So,
totally. Wow, 6 years old, I used to give drum lessons, and people used to ask me, "Hey, how old should my child be when they start lessons?" And I would always say that the girls could start sooner than the
hmm
boys because the boys were always just all over the place. Like I tried giving lessons to boys under 8 and they were just too ADD. They were all over the place. And so I would always say like 6 for the girls and like 8 for the boys. So you starting out at 6 and staying focused and doing it, that in and of itself is an accomplishment. I just want to say.
thank you. Thank
You know
you.
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying? Seriously.
it was like a love at first sight type of thing. I just kind of sat down, um, and I just started playing. Like it just kind of came natural to me. And then like obviously like yeah, you go through books, but also you're gonna want to play along to your favorite records and bands. And I did a lot of that as well. And I'm left-handed, but I play open-handed on a righty kit, which is wonderful. And you could nothing against right-handed drummers, but you are able to do things more freely around the drums. Um, but yeah, I've always done that, and yeah,
Do
it
you,
just kind of came natural,
I'm
which
curious.
I'm very lucky about.
Yeah, I'm super curious because playing open-handed like that, and I know some guys that are left-handed who do the same thing, play right-footed, but their hands are left-handed. Do you have your ride then on your left side, like above your hi-hat, or do you play your ride with your right hand?
I play my ride in my right hand, so my
Wow.
ride is like roughly been messing with my setup a little bit, especially for this tour, and I have it really comfortable now because I worked on it at home first. But I have it slightly above my kick drum. It's really, really comfortable there. I have it kind of, it's not too high up, it's not too low, but like right in the middle to where when I stretch my arm out, I can reach the bell perfectly with the stick, and I can crash on it if I need to. And um, I, I've always kind of played with the like, left hand hi hat lead and right handed ride, and every time I play, it's not like the groove feels weird or any timing wise, nothing feels weird. And I think just so many hours of doing that, it's just gotten to be natural.
Well, and that's so cool to be ambidextrous like that because it just has to open up so much for you. I know for me, my left hand has always been just weaker. Like I can only go as fast as my left hand will go. You know what I mean? Like I just it's
Hmm.
always my right hand is so dominant, and to be able to play either right or left-handed, that's got to give you lots of strength in many different areas. That's very cool.
It definitely does. And I tell people all the time, you know, if you live in Nashville, you go downtown, you see all the honky tonks and everybody playing. And I can't tell you how many times I've played Don't Stop Believin'. And hearing other people play it as righty drummers, I hate to say it, but obviously you have to play it open handed because you keep time on your left hand and you have to do that bell part with your right hand, going around with the toms. And it's like there's no way you could do that being a right handed drummer so fluidly.
Right, right. That's a good point. I want to talk more about your setup after a little bit, especially since you have so many toys. We're going to need to hear about
Yeah.
that. But I was curious, when was the first band that you actually joined? How old were you?
Oh goodness. I must have been, I want to say 15. And the funny thing was, I wasn't even playing drums. It was my best friend, myself, and his little brother. And I had given his little brother my first drum set ever, which was like this old, uh, definitely starter kit. This company called Max, Maxx. It was piano black, and so because he wanted to play the drums, so I let him play. And I was playing guitar at the time. I'm like, well, I'm in a band, but I'm not doing the drums. So like sometimes I would switch off if he got tired because he was younger. But and then I switched to another band when I was later teens, and then became a duo with my best friend from college. Um, been in a few bands, but nothing, obviously to the extent of now. But
What was the style of music that you guys were playing?
oh goodness, the first band I think was more covers.
Like
The
like
second
like
band,
rock covers or country covers?
oh, definitely rock. Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't get into country till junior year of college.
gotcha. So what kind of
Yeah.
like classic rock, like 80s rock, or what kind of
Oh,
rock?
my probably
Everything?
like the rock that we were listening to in high school. Like I wouldn't even call it rock, like Maroon 5.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's rock, like pop rock, and just whatever was popular at that time.
That's cool. Well, you remember
And then
I was going to
yeah,
ask if you remember the name of that band because the names of bands back then were kind of fun.
oh goodness. I remember my second band name was called Sides Collide. And I remember it was just we didn't even play a show. We just jammed in my house and we
Uh,
never even knew lyrics. I was like, this is fun, but this is definitely not going anywhere.
you're right, right. So
But
I think you were talking about that you got into college and kind of started expanding a little bit more.
yeah, so sorry, yeah. I went to college in Philadelphia at the University of the Arts, and there I got to study with amazing teachers like Mark DiCiani, Jerry Brown, Jimmy Paxson, um, and it was a jazz school, so I studied jazz, everything from jazz to Latin to funk to Afro-Cuban beats, essentially everything but country. And got to become a diverse player, which I think is really important, even if that might not be your main style. If someone at least called you for a gig and said, "Hey, can you play this jazz gig? Or can you play this funk gig?" You can do it to a degree. Yeah, you have to relearn, really dig in and relearn the songs and genre, but you can still do it. It's better than saying not. It's better than just saying no. And I guess to preface, before college, I had another wonderful teacher who was Dom's protege named John Favicchia, who he's also incredible. Um, and he's more fusiony,
Mhm.
killer player. So I kind of got a lot from him too. So every teacher I kind of obviously gained knowledge from, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, and it was cool. So like in college, they did a couple concerts where it was teacher and student based. So Mark, who I had mentioned at the time, he was the director of the school of music, and one of the vocal teachers asked, "Hey, we need a student to play drums. Who should we have?" And he said, "Get Jake. He'll do it." I had 3 days. His concert was on a Monday. They gave me like 30 songs ranging from Latin to Broadway tunes to jazz to rock to everything in between, with obviously sight reading. All these charts to learn everything within 3 days. So obviously I locked myself in a practice room and was in it for 3 days essentially, aside from eating, and I nailed the concert. And
Wow.
it was
Amazing.
cool. I remember so for senior year, instead of thankfully having to write a senior thesis because I hate writing papers.
Right.
Um, we had to do a senior recital, and we had to write out all the music, not just for our own parts, but for everybody within our recital. So sax lines, guitar lines, bass lines, vocal lines, everything. And aside from my own, I was in 5 or 6 others. So I had to balance my rehearsals, getting all that to those people, and then learning 6 other people's music. So it was great time management. And I remember when Mark met my parents, I'll never forget this day. And he couldn't even come to my recital, but it all came full circle when he's seen me play a bunch of shows now, which is really cool. But he said to my folks, out of everybody in this school of music, your son's gonna be the one to make it.
Wow.
And that was huge. Yeah, that was really cool. And
Wow.
then,
He really saw that, didn't he?
yeah, and I had him and his family out to when we opened for Jason Aldean in 2018 at the amphitheater there in Jersey, and then I just had him and his family out. Our last U.S. dates before us going overseas last year, we played Lincoln Financial in Philly, so I had him and his family out to one of the two shows. And that was huge because I went to college there as like a home, not hometown, but like kind of reunion in that regard. And for him to be able to see his student playing an NFL stadium sold out to 60,000 people is
So
incredible.
awesome. Yeah.
And
That
for me, it's amazing too to have him there, and they're like family. So.
right, right. That's so cool. That is so cool.
Hmm.
So, what happened after college? Like immediately after college, what happened with your music career?
Yeah. So after college, I went back to New York, and I just went on Craigslist to see if I can get any gigs. I think I got one, and it was not anything crazy. It was like this, not even theater. Like I wouldn't even really know how to describe it. Kind of like not singer songwriter, but low key gig in the city, and it was just not uh, really what I was looking for. So a very good friend of my dad's used to um, be the president and then CEO of Wind Up Records with bands like Creed, Evanescence, Seether. So he said to my dad, "Hey, if Jake wants to continue his music career, he should check out Nashville." While I was in college, I went to check out Nashville for a weekend, fell in love with it. And then I graduated in May of 2013. I moved here August 6th, 2013. And Mark, coming back in the story, put me in touch with an alumni who was living down here. She invited me to a party on Music Row. This was like my second day in town. I went, talked to anybody I could because, as you know, it's all about networking and who you meet. This drummer said, "Hey, I'm playing downtown tonight. Come sit in." I said, "Sure." Sat in for 2 songs. A very inebriated bass player happened to walk in and watch me play. I got off. He asked me if it was my gig. I said no. He said, "Well, we're auditioning drummers tomorrow because our drummer's leaving. Do you want to come audition?" I said, "Sure." I went. I did the audition. About 30 minutes to an hour later, I get a text or a phone call saying, "Hey, you got the gig." This is also my third day in town.
Oh my
Like, "Hey,
gosh.
you're gonna come to like for the rest of this week and the beginning of the next week. Come to the shows, sit in, learn the songs, all that stuff." So I did. I started playing downtown full time the middle of my second week in town. And then to backtrack, when I came to first visit Nashville, there was a store that's no longer around. There was a guy who was helping us out, super nice guy. He played drums. He gave me his card. He said, "When you get to town, let's get coffee." We ended up getting coffee a couple months later. We hit it off. 5 months into me playing downtown, he sends me a text, "Hey, I'm leaving this group. It's nothing major. Be a good foot in the door for you touring. Come audition." I did. 30 minutes later, I got that gig. So I
That's
stopped
some
playing
quick
Broadway
that's
5 months
some
in.
amazing quick turnaround on getting gigs, man. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because normally there's like an audition, another audition, a couple of days for them to think about it. But I mean, clearly you had an impact when you walked in that door and laid it down, you know?
yeah.
It's
And then
awesome.
did that other gig, which I'm still friends with one of the guys. He lives like 5 minutes from me, which is a small world. And um, it was a great gig for 6 to 7 months, but I knew it wasn't going where I saw myself in the long run. So and so I decided to leave. And then I was playing Cajon for a writers round every Tuesday with essentially 12 artists every Tuesday, two songs apiece, one original, one cover. I didn't know either song, so I just kind of let them, take the reins of playing the first couple of bars, and I hopped in, and they all loved it. But somebody was like, "Hey, do you play Cajon? Like, did you move here to play Cajon?" And I was like, "No, definitely not."
Does anybody move anywhere to play cajon?
Yeah, I was like, "You just insulted every drummer by asking that question."
That's awesome. How funny. Wow, that's
But
crazy,
yeah,
man.
so but it's all about who you know. So it's like me playing Cajon. I remember like that CMA fest. I think I played Cajon every day with someone. Like there's a place here called the Listening Room where it's a place where writers do writers rounds, and I pretty much lived there that entire CMA fest.
Wow.
It's exposure. It's not
Yeah,
the exposure I necessarily wanted because I wasn't on a drum set, but
right.
people still, oh, like he can, play this. And then, you know, one, studying with Jim Riley led to where I'm at now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing that stands out is, to most people that I talk to, like yourself, is the hustle. That you really get in there, you work really hard at your craft, but you don't stop there. It's not just your playing; it's also networking, working with people. The ability to work with people. Openness to new ideas and new styles and whatnot, and just kind of enveloping your life around music and the community, and that's
Yeah,
really
no,
what makes a difference.
exactly. And it's like you can be, I tell people a lot, you can be the best player in any gigging situation, even the top of the line, gig, whatever, right? And it's like you could be the best player, but if you practice or if you only play in your bedroom or, you know, if you don't go out and play and people see you, or if you are out playing but you have a terrible attitude, no one's going to want to work with you. It's
Right.
all about having a good attitude, you know, even if you sometimes have to be the brunt of the joke, sometimes just go along with it.
Yeah.
It's out of love.
Yeah.
And it's like, would you rather be doing what you're doing and sometimes being the brunt of the joke, or playing in your bedroom wishing you could be that guy?
Yeah, you have to bring like the whole package. It can't just be, one piece here, one piece there. It's the whole package that matters, that makes a big difference, I think, is what I've seen
Exactly.
anyway.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So when we left off, I think I'm really weird about staying in chronological order because I want to make sure I hit all the high points of your career. So
Totally okay.
so so yeah. So you were talking about that you dropped that gig, you got the call back, and at what point was it Luke Combs? Are we to that point at this time yet?
After me leaving that touring gig for about
Right.
6, 7 months.
Uh huh. Yeah.
So I left that, I want to say it was like August or September of 2014. And I think I was maybe back to playing downtown a little bit here and there. And I took a couple lessons with Jim Riley. And I told him, I was leaving this gig and I want to play with someone just more my own age and someone I could see myself potentially grow with. And he said, "Oh, go to writers rounds. All songwriters are either trying to be artists or, you know, they need musicians." So I just went to a place called Tin Roof. There was this round going on. I didn't know anyone there. I was just going just to meet people. It could be anybody. and it was so crowded. I stood on the back side of the stage. I couldn't see anyone's faces, just their back. And I caught the last round, or I guess the last piece of the round he was in. So it was like person, person, him. And when it got to him, I was like, wow, like that's a great song. And his voice is nothing I've ever heard before. So I just went up and talked to him afterwards, just, the type of guy would be just genuine of like, hey man, I really, just wanted to say I like your voice. I really loved your voice, and that was a really great song. And he said thanks, and he said, "What do you do?" I said, "I play drums." And I told him I went to school for music. Did he care? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But he said, "I have a gig next week. I really need a drummer. Do you want to play?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to. Please send me your material." Did my homework. A couple of days later, we had the rehearsal. I like to say slash my audition. I was the first one there, 30 minutes early, with all my stuff set up, ready to go, and my charts ready to go. I mean, I was charted everything out. I was practicing from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every
Nice.
day.
Wow. Yeah.
And, that's how I usually am when learning a new record too. Um, which might be overboard, but that's just how I work. And, you know, we did the gig, I thought I crushed it. And, the audition or rehearsal went really well. The gig went really well. I was also the only person at the gig who did not have a wedge, of course, you know, so I really had to
Great.
use my ears.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
then he and I hung out once a week, every week for the next month, month and a half, just to get to know each other. And we hit it off. And um, then I think he was just writing for like a month or so, and then he called me and said, "Hey, I want you to be my guy full time. Do you want to do this?" I said, "Yeah." And I'm the longest tenured member of the entire tour. Aside from him, I've never missed a single show in going on 10 years.
Wow. Tell me,
Hmm.
in those 10 years, did you play sick, broken limbs, sprained ankle, anything like that?
Thankfully, never with anything broken or sprained. I mean, I've gotten like a headache, but like that's about it. I've never been like deathly ill, thankfully.
Wow.
I was like, if I was deathly ill, I'm pushing through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's amazing. So, when you first started gigging with them, what kind of stages were you playing? Were you playing large venues, small venues?
oh, we were playing like small bars. Like we were
Yeah.
playing tin roofs around the country and like all these other little, small bars and clubs and stuff like that. And, slowly worked our way up. We were in a 15 passenger van for a while. Then we moved on to like a Sprinter, did that for a while. Then I remember we were out in 2016 with this guy named Corey Smith, and one of our guys' dads had a toy hauler, so we were in that for like the however long the tour was, 40 days or whatever, playing like small clubs. And then from then on afterward in 2017, kept on gradually moving up. In 20, I think 2017 was our first TV spot. We played the Today Show, and we played Hurricane and When It Rains It Pours. Then once Hurricane went number one, it kind of was like just a snowball effect.
Wow.
Then When It Rains It Pours went number one, and then
Right.
I think Beautiful Crazy went number one, and One Number Away went number one, and then you just kept on going and going and going. So um, we were out with Brantley Gilbert in 2017. We were first to three, had one bus. Then it went to two buses, like a bus and a trailer, then two buses and two trailers, and it was like two or three buses and a semi truck. And 2018, we were direct support for Aldine, and also, oh, to go back after the Brantley tour, we did our own club tour and the 2017 through 18. And not to be to bring it down a bit, but we had played right before our tour started. We played the Route 91 Vegas, uh, where the shooting happened. We played
Oh
2 hours
gosh.
before it happened. We had to stay on premise. We were there, like I was hiding behind, I think it was like a food truck or a white SUV or whatever. And
Oh
we
gosh.
only had two buses at the time, and we
Yeah.
played the opposite stage. So they had to bring. We didn't know they brought our band crew bus to where the artist buses were. So when it stopped for a little bit, we hauled our butts to the bus and hid there with the lights off for however many more minutes it went on. And I remember none of us got any sleep. My dad still kind of chuckles about it. Not that, but like he thought we were in LA because we were going to be doing Kimmel for the first time the next day before our tour started. And so I called my folks, and I'm in Vegas. Okay, I'm like they're back in New York, and time difference. So I kind of forgot about that, but I thought maybe they'd pick up, and they didn't. So I left a message. I was like, "Hey, like I'm okay," and he goes, "Yeah, kind of figured you're okay." And next morning, my parents' phones are blowing up. My dad didn't know. Once again, thought we were in LA, and he's like, all he did was call me and say he was okay. Yeah, because I didn't want to freak you out.
Right?
But
Wow.
but so like then like we did Kimmel, and then we started our tour, the club tour and all that stuff, and that was a blast. And you know, through us doing that, we got to do two sold out nights at the historic Ryman Auditorium, which was really cool in 2018. And my folks came to one of those, which was really cool, and special for that one.
It
Um,
sounds like your parents have just been super supportive since day one, huh?
oh yeah, there's never been a plan B. I mean, my dad loves music, and growing up in New York, my mom has always loved like Broadway shows and musicals, so I grew up going to those too. I still have, I think, majority of the playbills of all the shows I've gone to, and it's like really piled high. Um, and I was grateful to be exposed to that stuff as well. Because I don't, not saying I listen to that stuff on a daily basis, but I can appreciate that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and the guys who play doing that stuff. A buddy of mine from college, I forgot what show he's on, but he at the time was a sub for Hamilton,
Wow.
playing drums, which is amazing.
Always thought those kind of gigs would be a really cool gig.
Yeah,
Very
and a lot of
different, you know.
pressure too.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah.
about, yeah, you're not seen, but you got to play that book just like the book every night.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
Um, but yeah,
Well,
so it's kind of engulfed in a lot of different types of music, and obviously going to college
right.
got that whole thing as well, which was great. Um, but yeah, no, my parents, they were never like, hey, there's no plan B. You're going to work hard. You're going to, and you're going to do it. And I remember as a kid, my mom kept on saying, you practicing, you practicing, you practicing. And I was like, yeah, I'm practicing. Don't worry. I'm practicing like 8 hours a day. So
That's so cool. I mean,
yeah,
hard work pays off. It's for sure, you
yeah.
know.
I mean, she used to drive me to my lessons, obviously, before till I was able to drive.
Right.
So
I'm
definitely
curious.
grateful for them.
Yeah, totally. It's great to have a great support system like that, and your parents. It's the best when they support a music career. You were talking earlier about how all the tunes started going number one, and it just was snowballing. What was the moment where you were like, "Oh my gosh, this is a big deal," or sort of like that I've made it moment, or this is what I've always wanted kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that was?
Uh, I remember it was not even before Hurricane went number one. Remember I forgot we were playing. We all piled in the van because the manager was gracious enough to be driving us all around the country essentially. And I remember him saying to us like, "Hey, we got to be in the van by this time. They're going to be playing Hurricane as Sirius XM, the Highway Find as the top song at this time." So we all got in the van. I remember hearing the radio personnel DJ say it, and we were like, oh, like we were all freaking out. We were still in a Sprinter van at that time, and I was like, this is amazing, all this stuff. And then I think when we did our first TV spot, which was the Today Show, um, my parents were still living in New York at the time, so I was able to get them in, and they got to watch us play. They sat on the white couch behind the cameras, do the whole thing live, which was, I'm like, wow, my parents have got to come to a lot.
That is
No wonder
really
my dad.
cool.
No wonder my dad's like, I don't want to see another show for a while.
That's
But
cool though. That's so cool, man.
yeah, it was really neat. And I don't know. I feel like in a weird way, to me is like, okay, when did you really feel like you made it? Uh, maybe on our like when we first did our first club tour in 2017, 18, selling out the Ryman. I'm like, oh, we made it. But then it's like you knocked down another milestone. Like like right on my desk right here. We sold out Red Rocks for one show on
Oh,
Mother's
that's
Day in
so cool.
2019, and they gave each of us, a trophy or whatever. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a trophy with like it says Red Rocks Amphitheater. There's a piece of the rock on it, I think, and with our names and you know his name and the date of it and all that stuff. And then
Wow.
then it's like okay, well, 20, unfortunately due to COVID, our one of our tours obviously had to be pushed to 2021. But that year, it's like I'm from New York. We sold out two nights in Madison Square Garden, which is huge.
It's
To me, that's
absolutely huge. Yeah.
and then it's like last year, or even just like being able to play, sold out shows around the world. It's like, I just had dinner with one of my best friend's younger brothers, and he travels a lot for work. And he's like, "What are some of the craziest places you've been?" I was like, "Not even crazy, but like coolest." And I was like, "Well, Australia is cool." And I said, "The crazy thing is, I've been there 3 times already, and it's all with work. I've been to London like 5 times already, Dublin, Glasgow. I get to travel the world doing what I love with amazing people who are like family, and that's one of the best things about this job." And then obviously last year, we did our first full NFL stadium tour. It was NFL. It was a whole world tour from NFL stadiums to then we went to New Zealand and Australia for 3 weeks. Then we came home for the month, and then we did the Nordic countries, then Europe, and then the UK, finishing out the tour. And it's like, whoever thought you get to be doing, playing drums for a living, playing around the world to millions of people. I remember our last Philly show last year, before even us going overseas, the manager said to us, "Hey guys, I want to let you know that just within the States, you guys have played to over 1 million people tonight," which is
Wow.
insane to think about.
Yeah, it
I'm like,
is. It's
oh my
crazy.
goodness.
Right.
Like another bucket list, right?
Yeah.
2020, right before COVID hit in February. I think it was like February 2nd. We got to play SNL. Like, that's a childhood dream come true for sure for
No
anybody,
doubt.
especially a
Yeah.
New Yorker.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
like,
no doubt.
holy smoke, like all these TV shows, like Today's Show, as I mentioned, like Fallon, we did uh Good Morning America a couple times. We did Colbert. We did. The highlight obviously for me is SNL, but
I
yeah,
can't even
it's
imagine
just
what that
really
would be
cool.
like sitting on that stage and just being like, "Oh my god, this is where I am." I can't even
Yeah,
imagine because I'm the same way. I mean, SNL, that's like, yeah, everybody's
and
dream.
the cool thing too is like you're walking down the hallway and you're seeing they have photos from all the cast from like years ago till now, and it's like thinking of all these incredible, funny people. Obviously, I'm sure amazing people too, walking in these hallways. Like I remember, like the first person I was leaving our green room, and the first person to say hi to me was Keenan Thompson. I'm like, dude. He's like, "Hey, I'm Keenan. What's your name?" Like, I'm like, "I'm Jake." Like, you probably don't care about me at all, but he was like, "Oh." He's like, "What do you do?" I was like, "Oh, I play drums for the artist." He goes, "Oh, that's cool, man. I'm like,
So
great to have
cool.
you here." All that stuff. I'm like, "Man, really cool for you to do that." I said, "Man, I grew up watching you on Nickelodeon." He goes, "That's awesome, man." And it's like, Kate McKinnon and I walked by. She didn't say hi, but like it was cool to like, you know, I'm like, I watch you like I don't watch SNL a lot anymore, but like it's like I've watched you a bunch and this is really cool. Um and Yeah, it's just like kind of legendary type stuff in a sense, from
Yeah.
a musician's, I guess, point of view.
Right after I had asked you, what point did you feel like you had made it? I think that that's all relative, as far as like, I think in a lot of ways, if you're making a living playing drums and doing something you love, no matter to what degree you've made it, I mean, you're getting,
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah.
Like I've got buddies who just play downtown. They either they don't want to tour anymore, and they're making a living. They're making a very good living playing just downtown, and they're happy about that, and that's okay. And you know what? People say, "Oh, am I a professional musician if I'm playing downtown?" Yeah, you are. Are you making a living doing it? If you are, then yes, you are. You know, Even if you're in a kill and wedding band, and you make your living that way, are you a professional doing it? Of course you are.
Yep.
You know, so like, doesn't matter how you're doing it. If you're making money doing it and able to support yourself, then you're a professional in my book.
Yep. Yep. I agree 100%. I'm just thinking we got like 2 minutes left, Jake, and I was just thinking, I know that there's a lot of drummers that are watching right now, will probably watch the replay either here on Facebook or on YouTube. What advice? I mean, I have garnered a lot of advice from you already, which, it's the whole hustle and networking and being the whole package. But is there a single piece of advice that you would give to young aspiring drummers?
Yeah, I would say try to immerse yourself and listen to as much music as you can. If there is one certain genre you really are attracted to and want to would like to pursue, really dig into that one and kind of learn and listen and watch if you are able to find video of that these people who've done it before you. Um, Also, if a gig comes your way, you know, don't say no till you're not able to actually do the gig. So if you're able to do a bunch of different gigs and get yourself out there and promote yourself and have people see you play, do that. Don't say no till you have to. Um, and don't never have an ego. That will crush you. I think having an ego, be confident in yourself, especially when you play, but don't have an ego. Play the song like the song's meant to be played and don't overplay it because you're there to support the song.
Right, right,
Doesn't matter what style you play. You're there to support the song. You're there to support the artist. Or if you're in a band too, don't, just because you're part of the band, don't overplay.
right,
Play
right,
what you recorded.
right. Play to the
That's what
song.
people, yeah, play to the song. That's the fans want to hear.
Yep. Yep. That is all super solid advice. And I'm glad that you gave that because, like I said, this will be available here on Facebook and on YouTube. We'll break it out to YouTube and people will be able to watch the follow up there. Man, thank you so much, Jake, for being a part of
Yeah.
this. And we're going to get you out
Oh,
to
thanks for having
Drumathon
me.
one of these years. I know you're not available this year, but one of these years we're going to have you out to Drumathon. I'd love for people to
I would
see you in
love that.
person, you
I
know?
wish, I got to say, I think there was a point where you were going to ask me about the gear I use, and I wish we got to that
Oh yeah,
question.
yeah. No, hey, okay, hold on. Yeah, no, we're gonna take time for that. So yeah, tell me some about the gear that you have. You said you have multiple kits, but what's like your primary tour kit? Tell us about that.
Well, so I'm with Craviotto Drums. I joined, became part of their family December 2022. Um, if people don't know about them, they're all solid shell steam bent drums. They sound fantastic. So like the wood you see is the actual boards. So I'm with them. Sabian cymbals, love them, been with them forever. ProMark sticks, Evans drum heads. Um, those like I'd say, GW for pedals and hardware. And then a bunch of other smaller companies like Porter and Davies Thrones. Toka Percussion. Um, I've been playing um, Akutin custom snare drums. They're metal snares that I've been using them on the road, which they sound amazing. Let's see what else. Cymbal percussion. They're great for not losing wing nuts and felts. Um,
You said Cymbolt, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
Cymbolt.
I actually have on one of my rides behind me. I have a Cymbolt, so totally cool.
Dan is
Yeah.
Dan is the man. Dan is the freaking man. I love him. Big Fat Snare Drum. Love them. They're good dudes. Snare weight. Uh, Shoot, what else?
So you got your Sticks Pro Mark, right?
Yeah, yeah. ProMark. Yeah, I actually just got a new batch with my signature on it today to my house. So
I don't stalk you or anything.
it's okay. Hey, listen,
I'm just
I'll
staying up to
gladly
date.
se- I'll gladly send you a pair, or
Yeah,
I'll just bring a bunch whenever I got to do the drumathon, which I would
yeah,
love to do.
yeah, totally. Are you going to be at the Nashville Music City Drum Show by chance?
I should be. So we play MetLife Stadium Friday, Saturday, and not sure yet if we're flying or busing. I'm hoping I should be back in time. I think
That'd be
if we
cool.
fly, hopefully we have an early flight. Um, Actually, the cool thing is we got to choose if we want the earliest flight out or the later flight out. If you want to sleep in, I chose for just all the time we fly the earliest flight. So if it's a 7 a.m. flight, yeah, I'm going to be there.
Awesome.
Um,
That'd be awesome.
I plan on being there anyway on that Sunday.
Cool.
So you'll have to reach out to me ahead of time, obviously, because
Yeah.
uh, remind me to bring a pair. But
Yeah, no,
got
no
plenty to
worries.
go around.
We'll have a booth at the Music City Drum Show, so we'll be out there hanging out, and I'll definitely reach out to you in advance. I try to reach out to everybody I know out there in Nashville, so I'll hit you up. Be good to see you in
Yes, I love
person
that.
and chat, and good to see you. And we'll keep hassling you about Drumathon. We'll try again in 2025 and keep in touch. All right.
It's always the same time, right? It's October?
Yes, October every
Yep.
year. Yeah.
Okay,
Usually
cool.
about the third weekend, the third Sunday or so of the month is
Okay.
usually when it falls. But yeah, just, tell that band of yours just, to block you some time.
When is it this year again?
It's
It's October.
October 20th.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
literally our last gig of the year.
Yeah, yeah. You're good. You're good. It's okay, man. We'll hit you up next year and I hope to see you at Music
Yeah.
City Drum Show, okay?
Yeah, I definitely hope to be there on that Sunday, and definitely will see you when I'm there,
Awesome.
if I'm there.
Sounds great, Jake. Well, safe travels to you and let's keep in touch, okay?
Thank you, April. Yes, definitely.
All right, have a great evening.
You too.
See ya.
Bye.
Everybody, give it up for Jake Sommers, man. Very cool. A lot of these